Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CMtrading. Today is April 22nd, 2021, and today is Thursday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, the indices, the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ, very resilient and bounced back after a decent sell-off the day before. But first, looking at the major economic events of the day at 1:45 South African time out of the Eurozone, we have a monetary policy statement coming out that's sure to affect the euro. And looking at the various markets, starting out with the currencies, the major pairs taper off before this major number. And looking at the indices, the NASDAQ and the Dow Jones both bounce back as stated. And in terms of the commodities, gold holding its gains, while oil pretty much unchanged after a decent sell-off. And looking at the stock, Microsoft just off of its all-time highs. And lastly, looking at Bitcoin, not showing some resilience and is on support, trading on support. And will it break lower? We're going to take that and look at some other things. But first, let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So we're going to first take a look at the USD Canadian dollar. Now remember, yesterday we had a rate decision yesterday with the Canadian dollar. And right before that decision, we rallied. We had a nice spike up. And look at this. This is such a layup of a move. And then a nice fade right afterwards. Okay, this is what we call trading the news, trading the fade of the news, where you have a rally up and then it's just a kind of like setting you up for the future correctional move, which happened yesterday. Okay, so this type of move is so consistent with what we've seen before. It's a 200 pip move, so really a great potential yesterday. We did mention it. So just to follow up, sometimes I think it's important for us to know some of these plays actually played through. Now looking at the euro, we're trading at the top of the range here. We're consolidating at this 120-ish level. So this monetary policy is coming really at an important time. If we look at a daily, you see a little bit clearer that there's a minor support level, resistance level, at this 120.33. So something to consider going into today's number. Now looking at the Aussie dollar first, a little bit of a retracement here, and the GBP also a little bit of a retracement from this 140-ish level. So we're at the top of the range, but nothing to really, break us out higher. Okay, we don't have that conformity yet. We don't have that confidence yet to break out higher. Now remember, Europe is going through a second phase or a third phase or a fourth phase, I'm not even sure anymore, of a coronavirus outbreak. And the vaccination is not happening on a very large scale. So there are some issues there that will affect the economy. Okay, so just be aware of it. Now looking at gold, all right, this is where we're at. 1795, 1792, at a previous resistance-ish level, previous support, subsequent resistance, as you could see right here. This is where we're at. This is a beautiful place where we're at right now, where we see ourselves just challenged with this upper limit here. This may be a point where we retrace, and that's natural. First, look, and then looking at gold, at oil. Still didn't have my coffee today, okay? 62.62 right now, off of our 63.95. Didn't really go yesterday much. A little bit of a volatility there with some stockpiles of oil starting to accumulate, and thereby bringing the price of oil down. Now, this is really important because we are going into the summer session, and if the markets do open up in the next 3 months, we may see this actually breaking up higher. Okay, I've mentioned it several times. Let's jump into the Dow Jones. Dow Jones trading on 33,994, a beautiful market trending upwards. Okay, every time it retraces, it goes higher. And sure enough, yesterday did not disappoint. Okay, we have an alley-oop move, what I call it. Okay, look at that. A sell-off below the moving averages and then higher. Now that we're here, if we do not go higher than 34.70, if we do not break this higher, do not follow through, we may see this topping out. Okay, now there's a couple of things here that we need to take into consideration. Number one, seasonal. We're going into May. May is traditionally a sell-off month before the summer sessions, where there's lighter volume. Most of the financial managers are on vacation. Believe it or not, that's just the way Wall Street works. So something to consider going into May if this does not break out higher. Now, looking at the NASDAQ, was resilient also, but not at its all-time highs. Okay, we're about 100 and something points off of our all-time highs. So also, okay, we're not there. The Dow Jones obviously a little bit stronger. Now looking at the individual stocks, Microsoft was the strongest one, okay, which is really trading with the indices, and I like to see that. I like to see what there's consistency with the stocks, there's no divergence, okay? But once you'll see a little bit of a divergence, that's when we can really anticipate a move in either direction, okay? Looking at Amazon, also resilient to 33.54. If we look at a daily, top of its chart, Facebook, not bouncing here, okay? So this is becoming interesting. Now this may bounce later, but for right now, it's not bouncing, okay? So something to look at today, how it will react to the markets, something to consider. Now looking at Apple, also a little bit of a bounce, but nothing major as we're making that correctional move. Alcoa was very resilient yesterday at 34.28, just about $1 off of its all-time highs. Now, lastly, jumping into Bitcoin, okay, this is where it gets very interesting. You see the consolidation down here. You see that it's struggling every time it bounces, okay? It does struggle, but every time it sells off, it doesn't break down lower, okay? So very interesting. In these type of moves, I do anticipate some sort of breakout move, okay? So it could be extreme to one direction or the other. We are on the lower end of the RSI, okay? So we are consolidating here. So this is really a very important level where this may actually bounce off of this level, okay? It's reluctant to break lower, which means that it may even go higher, okay? So remember, I mean, Bitcoin is still a very happening asset, okay? And it's still going to be something that's going to break out. Now, if we look at a daily, relatively, okay, these bounces are becoming lower and lower, okay? So a little bit of conflicting information here. On one side, we've gone up so high. On the second side, we're consolidating in this upper area. On the third side, it's reluctant to go lower. So I do expect volatility to continue here, okay, especially since we're seeing this in the bottom range and not breaking lower. It's not breaking down to 52,400, so it may actually still bounce, okay? So again, just pick your spot, okay? Trade it small, okay? And just be very careful, okay? Make sure to have a stop loss in place because obviously this is so volatile. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish everybody a great trading day. Thank you.